Hey, Shalom, Shalom. Start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruchah HaKodash. I want to say double honor to our apostles, who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. This is Ra'ab Ahmad for the Nebraska camp. This is GMS and he pushed the mark. I want to do a little quick lesson. Just going over just parable, not a parable really, but a situation that really stood out to me in particular with our walk in his faith. Okay. And I'll get the excerpt real quick. So going to 2 Kings chapter 13, verse 14, and this is in reference to 15 is this is in reference to Joash and Elisha. Elisha was on his deathbed, or he had fallen sick, which will eventually he was on his deathbed, i.e. And so I just catching up. So in verse 15 it says, and Elisha said unto him, take bow and arrows. And he took him bow and arrows. There we go. Salaki, I had a little technical difficulties. So getting back to 2 Kings chapter 13 and verse verse 15, it says, and Elisha said unto him, take bow and arrow. And he took him bow and arrows. And he said to Israel, he said to the king of Israel, put thine hand upon the bow, and put his hand upon it. And Elisha put his hands upon the king's hands. And he said, open the window eastward. And he opened it. And Elisha said, shoot. And he shot. And he said, the arrows of the Lord deliverance, the arrows of Yahweh's deliverance, and the arrows of and the arrow of deliverance from Syria. For thou shalt smite the Syrians in Aphek till thou have consumed them. And he said, take the arrows, and he took them. And he said unto the king of Israel, smite upon the ground. And he smote thrice and stayed. And here's the point. And the man of the Most High was wroth with him and said, thou shouldst have smitten 5 or 6 times. Then hadst thou smitten Syria till thou hadst consumed it, whereas now thou hast smite Syria but thrice. And Elisha died, and they buried him, and the bands of the Moabites invaded the land, such on and so forth. But the point is that even though he did with the Lord, Joash did with the Lord, bade him, and he had, faith, but he didn't approach with tenacity. And it reminds me of this scripture going to Ecclesiasticus. It says, when you glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as you can, for even yet will he far exceed. And when you exalt him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. And there's many of aspects and layers to the onion on why people would beat 3 times. We can't say why Joash beat 3 times. You know what I'm saying? But we knew that the approach is important. It ain't just doing the task. You got to have a drive. You got to have a tenacity about this. And that goes into being lukewarm. Because the Lord will spew you out, right? So we're going to go into the same book, chapter 11, verse 24. It says again, say not, I have enough to possess many things. Because you could think that them beating the 3 arrows is enough. You could think doing your lessons is enough. The amount of information you know is enough. Where you at. And that could cause what? Complacency. So you got to beat those arrows as a reflection. You have to, like I tell my fighters, where you train is how you're going to fight. So you could try your best on fight night, but if you ain't trained hard, you ain't going to have nothing on fight night. The same thing on salvation, working towards salvation, Jacob's trouble, all these things. If you're not rehearsing the righteous acts now, we're not rehearsing the righteous acts now. In that time, we're going to, even though you try your best, you can pray with all your might, you can strive with all your might, but if you don't have things embedded in you as like drill and habit, it's going to be hard for you to make that adjustment, especially in such an extreme environment. Even now, man, people are it's hard for a lot of people to get out of the matrix. that are in the Israelite world, man, because they have so much invested in the Israelite, not Israelite world, in the world in itself, America. You know, a lot of these people that believe they're Israelites but don't want to be pilgrims, they stay invested. They got their businesses. They think they're hot stuff because they're doing good in society. When this place go to shit, they're attached to it. Okay, but I continue on. It says, and again, say not, I have enough and possess many things, and what evil shall I have hereafter? In a day of prosperity, there's a forgetfulness of affliction. In a day of affliction, there's no remembrance of prosperity. So that's something very vital to me to take into consideration, because we could have things like this truth breakdowns, the ability to get up and read, the time. The Lord could take all that away. Just because you got 24 hours, I mean, it'll be the same 24 hours, man. Trust me, I got kids, and I've been the truth when I didn't have kids, and I've been this truth when I got kids. And there's a difference in time, man. You know what I'm saying? I got the same 24 hours, but it ain't the same 24 hours. And there's a bunch of things that'll change the dynamic and change your opportunities. So that's what you're supposed to take advantage. Because even if the times change, at least you had a chance to take advantage of what you had when you did have time. Like the scriptures say, a man will find wisdom and the opportunity of leisure. So it's what you do at that time and what you do with your opportunity, which is your lot mainly, whether you're a sign holder, you're a speaker, all of us have ability to do lessons if you cross the line, from your studies, and it don't have to be in mass. It could just be in sincerity. Some things need to be in high volume, but some things need its time. Everything ain't about mass. Some things is about volume. Some things is about depth. Okay, weight. You know what I'm saying? Getting the heavy matters, the weightier matters. Self-examination. Putting forth all your strength, because sometimes some jakes just be like, well, I hit the highways, I'm good. Or I came to class, I did my exposures, I'm good. I don't got to do no independent research. Like you don't know how many times you need to beat that arrow. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and rulers of darkness and wickedness in high places. So it's like, you don't want to play that game, or it ain't like without Yahweh Shemi Shai, Satan to get on our ass, man, because we're dealing with a entity that is an adversary to our cause, and we don't have the same resources that he have outside of Yahweh Shemi Shai, which is the ultimate resource. That's all we need. That's why I said without him, we'll be assed out. Satan will be tearing our ass up, man. With the Lord through Yahweh Shemi Shai, through Yahweh Shai in the sacrifice, he gave us power over death and Satan, man. Okay? But let's continue on. Sirach 11:26 says, For it is an easy thing unto the Lord in the day of death to reward a man according to his ways. Because ultimately that's what we're going to be rewarded. So all that, what you think you are, is either you're putting out or you're not. You know what I'm saying? And there's a delusion. Just because you're capable doesn't mean you are doing it. There's a lot of people that can run, but there's runners. You know what I'm saying? So just because you have the ability don't mean that that's your identity, that's what you are. Sometimes you can understand scriptures, understand breakdowns, you can tell people what it is, but that don't mean that you are. That's why the scriptures say, do as they say and not as they do, because there's people that can, as the scriptures say, being a wise man that teaches many, but evil to himself, he destroyeth his own soul, right? So, you want to be well-rounded. You want to be able to not only teach, but walk it, because from experience, you learn how to be empathetic, and you learn how to, be empathetic, relate to people, so you can correlate, and you not show apathy, So these things are very important when it comes to edifying. It gives you ability to have patience. Like I'm beginning to understand the patience of the elders and the lack thereof with certain things. You know what I'm saying? Because you see the end of it, and through experience, you know the end of it. So it's like, they'll get it eventually. So you'll have patience with them. You'll wink at their follies. But then you'll see, okay, people that do these things normally will fall the fuck off. So I'm about to get on your ass ASAP. You know, but I digress. But let's get back to the precepts. Got one more for us in Galatians chapter 6, verse 8. It says, "For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall what? Salaki, he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. And we shall have therefore opportunity. Let us, as we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith." You know, so while we got the opportunity, you know, because every time, you know, sometimes I've Satan will be fucking with me, man, have me looking at a brother a certain way and be like, nah, I'm having to rebuke that demon, man, because it's like this opportunity to do good to a brother. And you can say, oh, this brother don't do this, or he you know, he needs to be treated like this so he can. No, man. When you have opportunity, do good. You know, with anything, you don't have to be a brother. Just this is our rapport. You know what I'm saying? And what if the Lord did me like that? You know what I'm saying? Like the Lord had patience with me. So it says, love the Most High. You know, as you would love yourself, love the Most High with all thy heart, and love your neighbor as you would love yourself. So the same way I want the Lord to treat me, I'm going to translate that into the brother that's next to me within his gospel. All right? Now, I ain't going to say everybody, but I'm going to walk around cordial. You know what I'm saying? If possible, live peaceably with all men, because we're peacemakers. You know what I'm saying? I ain't kissing nobody's behind. I ain't, you know, trimming my ways to seek love. I am understanding where y'all come from and know how to move in a room full of vultures. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, you know, being there for your brothers, you're putting out constant vibrations of strength. You know, you're not letting any opportunity pass you by. Okay, and because every moment we don't know how much we need, man. We don't know how much depth we are in, so we need to beat them arrows like we trying to get out that depth, man. You know, so that's pretty much it. With that being said, I'm gonna give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Recha HaKodash, double honor to our apostles who are elders of the world. Blessed salutations to you brothers out there teaching the truth, sincerity, shalom.